Okay, hello and welcome to the MSDynamicsWorld.com CRM webcast series. I'm Jason Gumpert, and joining us for today's event is Leon Tribe. Leon is a veteran Dynamics CRM consultant, blogger, and also a Microsoft MVP. Leon's done many popular events for us in the past, various presentations, always very thought-provoking, and today should be no exception as he dives into CRM and CEM and how Dynamics CRM contributes to both. So as we get started, I just want to add that we do invite you to add your feedback and ask questions during Leon's presentation today. Please use the Q&A block or the chat that you should see to the right of the slides as the webcast goes along, and Leon will leave time for questions at the end. So without further delay, please allow me to welcome Leon Tribe. Leon, are you there?
I am, Jason. How are you?
Great. Thanks for joining today.
No worries at all.
You should have control, and there you go.
Yep, you can see the slide?
We do.
Excellent. Thanks for joining me. Today I'll talk about CRM versus CEM and how Dynamics CRM contributes to both. So I'll be looking at some of the new Dynamics CRM technologies that have come out in the most recent version, and also some that are coming out with the release that's coming sometime towards the end of this year, early next year, the CRM 2015. I'll also be talking about what CRM is, what CEM is, what they have in common, and how they're different. So a little bit about me. What I enjoy doing is helping others make the world a better place. I don't look like that anymore, by the way. That was back when, that was about 20 kilos ago, or probably a bit more. And when I was a physics student. How I do that is by using technology to make the people trying to make the world a better place more efficient, more effective, and the technology of choice I use is CRM. So what is CRM and what is CEM? Now, I used to think they were pretty much the same thing. It was just jargon words for essentially the same thing. But with discussions, I've come to the realization there is a subtle difference. With CRM, and probably, I'm guessing most of you on the call will be familiar with CRM. It's a technology to manage employee-customer interactions. So if we're talking about the CRM as a technology. So it's designed for employees to be able to effectively communicate with customers and to effectively meet the needs of customers to be able to service them appropriately. CEM, Customer Experience Management, also called Customer Experience. The marketers also call it Service Design. It's slightly different. So the perspective there is it comes from the customer's point of view. So when the customer approaches our organization, what do they see? What kind of interactions do they have? And so it's about managing the customer's experience rather than managing the employee's experience. And it's focused on enabling the customer, making sure the customer's getting the right experience relative to what the company offers, and making sure they can access the products and services of that company in an effective and appropriate manner. So in terms of what they have in common, both are trying to get customers and employees to work together so that products and services can be provided. They try and make the interaction as simple and as efficient as possible. Basically, it's technologies to try and get everything out of the way so that the customer and the vendor can talk together. So classic CRM technologies, they capture the interactions, and the idea is we can then analyze that and improve further interactions. So if we're getting lots of cases logged in our system, we can analyze those cases, work out which products are causing us the most problem. We can look to seek where the problems are in the process, and we can seek to address those issues. And CRM does that very well. It also seeks consistency and transparency in the process. So it's the idea of because we've got a consistent system, so it's not that everyone's using a different spreadsheet, they're all using the one system, therefore, and because we can manage process within that, therefore we're treating customers in a consistent fashion. Now CEM comes at it from a slightly different perspective. It ensures that what the marketers call the touch points. So every time a customer interacts with an organization, it ensures it's meeting the customer's expectations. It's ensuring that the customer is getting what they want from the company, and it matches the company's values. So for example, if I'm interacting with Virgin Airlines, the language used on their website or with their customer service might be different to if I'm interacting with British Airways, for example. So the experience has to match the brand values, and it has to match what my expectations are of that organisation, what I expect to get from them. So let's discuss some real life examples. So in terms of good and bad CRM, so a good CRM, an example I use of good CRM, as in managing the relationship with a customer, is a story I once heard about a tailor. And so this tailor makes custom shirts. And so the person goes in and buys the shirts, fitted to suit their body, and the shirts are fantastic. 12 months later, the customer gets a letter in the mail, and the letter says, "Dear sir, you've been using my shirts for about 12 months. Inevitably, collars wear out and cuffs wear out. Therefore, please come in and I'll replace those elements of the shirt free of charge." This is great CRM. Right? This is good CRM. It's anticipating the customer's need, even before the customer's realised, and it's providing great service. It's very hard for any competitor to beat that. So the clients, the customer, will always go back to that tailor. They've got no reason to go anywhere else. It's very hard for anyone to compete against that kind of service. In terms of bad CRM, in terms of bad interactions with the customer, where a system is getting in the way on the employee side, an example I was thinking of for this presentation is, and we've all been there, the call center, where we phone up the call center and they've got their standard questions. Or it might be that we're reasonably technically savvy, for example. We've tried to solve a problem, maybe it's with our computer, maybe it's with our internet connection. We've gone to the website, we've gone through the FAQs, and when we call up the call center, they're going through the same FAQs. They're basically just a voice box for the FAQ system. And that's bad CRM, right? They've obviously got a system there which they're walking through, but it's not capturing a true interaction with the customer, and it's not providing any value. It's simply getting in the way and it's causing frustration. In terms of customer experience management, two examples which I've thought of here is, in terms of good customer experience management, is ordering an online pizza. So if I go to any of the major pizza chains, I go online and all I want is a pizza and I want it delivered to my house. And so I go online, I select the pizza, I find my credit card details, in 30 minutes or less, the pizza's at my door. That's a great customer experience and it's exactly what I expect from a pizzeria. Doesn't talk anything about the back-end systems in terms of what the employees are using. It's all about the experience for the customer. Now, for those of you may have come across this recently, no aspersions directly against Comcast, but there was on YouTube, and you can look this up, a very embarrassing interaction with a call center where the experience was just shocking. A person was trying to disconnect their Comcast service, and basically they were badgered by the call agent for about 8 minutes. If you're not familiar with this, I'd certainly encourage you to go onto YouTube and look for Comcast embarrassing customer service, I think it is, they're the keywords, and you'll see this. And basically the customer's experience was just shocking. The person saying, "Why would you want to leave? We're the #1 service in America, why would you want to leave?" And basically the whole interaction reinforced the reason the person was leaving. This was a bad customer experience. It was the whole experience was managed poorly and it reflected poorly upon the Comcast brand. So let's discuss some of these frustrations. What are some of the frustrations that customers feel when they interact with organizations? And how can CRM help and how can customer experience management help? So Accenture does a global consumer pulse survey once a year, and these results are from the 2013 survey. It goes through and it talks about the key frustrations people have. And so I've picked the ones which are basically 50% or above. So the majority of people have these frustrations. And again, many of us will have come across these in our interactions. So we've got things like frustrated with calling multiple times for the same reason. So we call once, we don't get an answer, so we call again. And even some of us have played the game, right, where we'll call once, we don't quite get the answer we want, so we'll call again, And we might call a couple of times, see if we can get a different answer, get something that's slightly closer to what we want to hear. Being on hold for a long time, so we're not being provided options to find out answers for other mechanisms. Frustrated with dealing with impolite employees. Again, this is a brand issue. So essentially, I'm calling up and someone's treating me tersely, or they're being impolite, they're being short. This reflects badly on the company. It's well and good that that customer service agent may be having a poor day, but the experience is not being managed well. Customer delivering something different to what was promised. Again, we hear a lot of this with, say, cable companies or with internet providers, phone companies, where they'll promise one thing and not deliver another, then we have to call up and we have to get it rectified, and then that can cause delay, and again, that causes frustration. Having to repeat information. For any of us that have ever gone through a computer telephony system, often we'll have to put in certain details through the phone. So it might be our account number. And again, many of us would have experienced the frustration of, we'll put in our account number, we'll put in certain details through the phone, and then as soon as we talk to a human, they've got none of that information. We have to tell them again. Or we get transferred to another department, and then we have to tell them all the information again, and that frustration. This one I haven't experienced personally, but the frustration that companies can't be trusted with personal information. Actually, I'll tell a lie. So where I've experienced this is I'll sign up for a certain web, certain newsletter or something like this. I've got a Gmail address, which I often do for this. Fun thing you can do with Gmail addresses, you can modify those Gmail addresses so that you can work out who's been recycling it. So, for instance, you can put in leon.tribe, we can put leontribe. You can put, at the end of the gmail.com, you can put other bits and pieces. If you're interested in that, certainly go online, you can see how you can modify it, and then you can track who's passing your information on. And there are certain times when I've given my information to what I thought was one company, and then suddenly I'm getting bombarded by another company who's obviously recycled the same email address. So there's frustration around that, the sharing of information where it's not completely obvious that that information would be shared. And then frustrated dealing with self-help systems that couldn't help them. And so there's all these frustrations out there. How does CRM help? How does CEM help? How do they differ in how they try to address these? So in terms of CRM systems, as I mentioned, they're all about the employee and managing how the employee interacts with the business processes and interacts with the customer directly. And so in CRM systems, we can have automated escalation to eliminate multiple follow-ups. So if someone calls and says, yes, we'll get back to you on that, if that call hasn't been resolved, then we can put an automatic escalation in systems, go to their manager, go to other people, to make sure that that gets chased up. Similarly, if we're promising that we're going to respond to a message within a certain period of time, we can put an escalation to manage that as well. In a CRM system, often these are put in to allow for the centralization of customer information rather than having silos of information. So the sales part of the business may have one piece of information, whereas marketing have another, maybe the service department have another. The idea of a CRM system is it's all centralized. So it's one location where everyone can see the same record. So if I'm a salesperson chasing up an account, I can immediately see, well, actually there's been a lot of frustration, there's a lot of service tickets here. Maybe I should go easy on chasing them for their bill. Obviously I have trouble. Or when I call and say, has that been resolved? How can I help? This is what CRM systems help us do. They help us give a more rounded knowledge of our customer beyond our immediate department. Having information in a CRM can also be locked down. Excuse me. So we can, rather than have it again on separate spreadsheets, maybe in a slightly less secure access database, we have in a central system, and generally CRM systems these days, most CRM systems have some form of security. So I can only see the information I need, and my ability to extract that information and pass it on outside the organization can also be restricted. So we can certainly secure personal information to make sure it doesn't get into the wrong hands. And these are the kind of ways that CRM systems in general can address some of the issues that are mentioned in the poll, in the Accenture poll survey. So how do CEM systems help? How do these help manage those frustrations? And so one way a customer experience can be managed is providing other options when we're on hold on the phone. So one of the frustrations there was, of course, the mentioning of the people who are on hold too long. And so what I've noticed over the last few years is it'll say on the hold messages, perhaps you'd want to check out our website, see if you could resolve the question there, and the website is XYZ. Now, a lot of us have the internet these days. A lot of us have access to the internet while we're on the phone, so we might have a computer in front of us. If we're on the landline, we might have our cell phone that we can use as well. And so it provides other options other than just being on hold. And I've included a little table there, which is a table that Microsoft has got in some of their public presentations, which talk about some of the costs per contact. And so we've got a win-win situation here. If a call center support person answers a call, the approximate cost per contact is $12, perhaps higher. Even web chat or callback can be $5 or higher. We can encourage people while they're on hold to go to, say, a web self-search. They may be able to solve their problem, costs us a lot less, and potentially they're no longer on hold, they've solved their problem, and so they're a happier customer. At worst, they're still on hold, right? They've gone, they haven't found the answer, they're still on hold. We can still address them with the call center support, but potentially it's a win-win. We'll reduce our costs and they can get the answers they need without having to interact directly with the call center. Also reduces wait time and the rest of it because there's less people in the queue. CEM systems can also help by making sure agents are respectful. We can ensure the customer experience is consistent. We can have scripting. Scripting is kind of a 50-50, right? It's kind of customer relationship management. It's helping the employee. It's also making sure the experience is appropriate for the customer. So scripting is an interesting one. It's also aligning brand promise to the service delivery. So what I mean by that is, as I said before, so say it's, actually let's think of a better example. So if we, as part of our promise, we say we'll deliver the pizza within 30 minutes. Let's go back to the pizza example. That's our promise. That's what we're promising to the customer. We've got to ensure the customer's experience is that they get a pizza in less than 30 minutes. So we've got to ensure all the back-end processes are geared towards that, are geared towards providing the most efficient service possible so we can deliver on our promise. That's what a customer experience management system can help us do. It helps manage that experience. So now onto the meat in the sandwich, if you like. How is Microsoft helping both on the CRM side and on the CEM side? So here I'm talking about some of the stuff that's now in Dynamics CRM 2013 and some of the products that have come along for the ride, so Dynamics Marketing in this case. I'll also be talking a little bit about the 2015 products. Now, if you want any of these screenshots, these aren't secret squirrel screenshots that I've got access to that no one else has access to. I've got all these from basically there's a document that's just been put out by Microsoft, the CRM 2015, and I've got the URL just at the bottom of there. I believe the slides will be shared, so you can certainly get access to that. If for whatever reason you can't get access to the slides, if you look for CRM 2015, which is the new name of the new version, and look for a PDF, in the top few links you should be able to find that PDF. And this is where all the screenshots come from. It talks about all the stuff that's coming in 2015 and how it's being added. Now, yeah, certainly a great document, certainly worth a look at. So how are these products? How are all these products addressing this idea of how do we make the employee more efficient and more effective, and how do we make sure the experience that the potential customer receives is also appropriate? Okay, so in terms of Dynamics Marketing, first it's providing the employee tools to communicate effectively. So it's providing mass communication tools, it's providing the ability to create good templates. So for those of you that work with Dynamics CRM, and you don't have one of the various marketing add-ons like Click Mentions, etc., you'll know that to create an email template within CRM is possible, but there are significant limitations. Right? We can sort of create rich text templates, but we can't really go the full HTML. The best we can probably do is the Word template for our emails. We can't do much better than that. So with tools like Dynamics Marketing or these third-party add-ons, we're giving the employees the tools that they need to communicate effectively, so we can create much richer documentation, and we can create our marketing list, and then we can send it out. So I've sort of deemed that more sort of enabling from a CRM perspective. With Dynamics Marketing, we can also communicate through multiple channels. So rather than just email, we can also communicate through Twitter. There's talk of, if we look at, I'll talk about Parature a bit later, but there's other channels, social channels as well. And so we can communicate through multiple channels. And obviously this is empowering the employee. So from that perspective, it's CRM, but it's also allowing us to communicate through the channels that perhaps the customer would prefer to be talked to. Not everyone wants to be talked to through email. Some may prefer SMS. Some may prefer to talk to via Facebook or via Twitter, perhaps. And so from that perspective, it's also addressing a customer experience issue. It's also a CEM enabler. Dynamics Marketing also provides links that customers and potential customers can quickly communicate. So Dynamics Marketing allows us to publish links so people can contact us. So it provides contact us pages and this kind of thing. And so it provides links so they can quickly provide their information to us, and so then we can interact with them that way. So again, this is a customer experience enabler. And some of the new stuff that's coming out with 2015 is focused on bringing sales and marketing together. There's basically marketing can put in all their marketing activity for the year. That appears in a calendar, and then sales get access to that, and they can see what's coming up, and they can provide their 2 cents, and so on and so forth. So in sharing information between sales and marketing and enabling that coming together so that they're aligned, and so that if I'm a salesperson, I'm on a call, I can say, oh, you should come along to our seminar next week. Right? They've got full access to that information. They can communicate effectively with the customer and make sure the customer's getting the best information possible from the the marketing department. So again, I've labeled this as a customer relationship management enabler. This is how Dynamics Marketing help managing the customer relationship, again, from the employee side, in this case from the sales department side, and helping marketing get their message out about the kinds of activities they're doing. And of course, as I mentioned before, our general CRM systems, we've got approvals and escalation. So Dynamics Marketing's got a whole approvals engine built into it. So if we need certain documentation approved, if we need things, so if a customer applies for a certain product and that needs approval or something like this, Dynamics Marketing now has a full approval engine to help manage that. So again, it's enabling the employees to manage the process most appropriately. Right, so if there's a certain process we have to follow within the business in terms of approvals, then Dynamics Marketing is giving us the ability to do it. And of course, Dynamics CRM is the key CRM product. So obviously, it's going to be helping us from the CRM perspective. And so what's coming up in 2015? And so I've called out some of the things which obviously help the employee be more effective in their role. And so one of them is an improved guide selling process. Now, the picture I've taken is quite small. Actually, no, that's the SLA. I'll come to that in a second. So with the guide selling processes, for those of you that have worked with 2013 business flow, you'll know it's quite linear. And so it'll go from sort of one stage to the next stage, the next stage. It might hop between entities. Ultimately, it's a very linear process. What we're getting in 2015 is the ability to branch. So if a question gets answered one way, and we store a certain value in CRM one way, then we can branch the process one way. If it goes another way, then we can branch it another way. So it might be that if the client needs sort of a bronze level service, then it might go down one process path. If they need a gold level service, it might go down another path. And so now we have this ability to branch our process flows, certainly enabling the employee to provide a better service. In terms of product management, that's also been greatly improved. It's an area that probably hasn't been touched for quite a while, so it's a welcome sight. And so with the products now, you have the ability to cross-sell and upsell within CRM. So you can say, if we sell this product, then they may also want to consider this product and this kind of thing. So again, because we're recording that in the system, therefore, when we have a salesperson providing a service or providing a product, then can present them the information they need. They can do that upsell and cross-sell, or enabling the employee to provide a better service to the customer. And finally, we've got improvements in 2015 in terms of service level agreements. The main improvement here, it's still quite a new feature, and I must admit I haven't used it a lot yet. I haven't had calls to. But in 2013, you had a service level agreement where it basically said we have to deliver X within this period of time. One of the small improvements they made, so people that are using service level agreements, you may get some value out of it. One of the improvements is you can now pause those SLA time calculations. And you can see that on the screenshot there. So if for whatever reason the process is on hold, then there's now a tool within the system to allow that to happen.
Hey, Leon.
Yeah.
Sorry to break in. Your audio sounds like it might be degrading just a little bit. So if you could kind of keep the mic as close as possible, that would help at this point.
No problem at all. I'll get in really close. Is that better?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So in terms of social listening, for those of you that haven't played with this, I encourage you to do so. Demos on a lot of this stuff is still a little bit light on the ground. The social listening's probably got you can certainly get a demo of Dynamics CRM. You can get a 30-day trial. If you go through, I think it's MicrosoftOfficeDemos.com, you can get a 90-day trial. But the social listening you can get a trial. It's a 30-minute trial, which isn't great, but you can get one. So if you Google around for social listening demo, then you can certainly have a play with the social listening tool. And for those of you unfamiliar with the social listening tool, this is basically a social monitoring tool. So it monitors Twitter, monitors Facebook, and they're now expanding that. So now employees can, as well as monitoring their social channels, it can monitor, it also monitors blogs and videos. The other one it now monitors is RSS feeds. So it was originally, I think, in the beta, but it never made it to full production. Now RSS is back in there. So we can now add our sort of local news feeds and that kind of thing, and we can monitor those through the social listening tool as well. So again, this is a tool which is enabling employees to provide better service by listening and seeing what the sentiment out is in the market. So again, this is sort of on the CRM side of the fence, if you like. And then we have the Parature tool. Now, not a lot has been released on Parature. So Parature was an acquisition that Microsoft made, I think it was last year or the year before. And this is basically a support tool. This is a tool for customer service. I haven't talked a lot about it, and even in that document, that PDF document I mentioned, there's not a lot mentioned in there. What we do know is what Parature does. We can go to the Parature website, and we know what they've said in the past, what they're planning to do in terms of integration. But that's pretty much it. So in terms of what we're going to see in 2015, it's still a bit of a mystery. Now, we do know that Parature provides service support through social channels. So you can get support through Facebook, I believe, through Twitter, and these kinds of things. So potentially, and we know that Dynamics Marketing also plays with those channels. So perhaps something's going to happen there. We've also got social listening, which happens with those channels. So we can see that we can see the potential that perhaps those will merge. Whether we'll see that in 2015 or whether that'll come later, still not completely obvious. In terms of who does that help, I've labelled that as the customer experience side of the fence rather than CRM fence. So if I'm an end user and I'm needing to get support, then potentially through the Parature system, I've now got a wide range of options in order to get that support. I can go through Twitter, I can go through Facebook, go through traditional channels. The experience is now more catered to what I want rather than what's convenient to the organization or what's limited by the technology employed. Parature also provides live chat support, which is a relatively new thing for CRM. So certainly we see it on websites, but it's something that Dynamics CRM has never provided in the past. So Parature allows the customer to go to a website, and there's a live support option there, so they can click the button, and then they're chatting to a user. So again, this is providing an experience, a customer experience benefit rather than say an employee benefit. There's also an online knowledge base. So again, potentially we could see, we know that CRM's got its own internal knowledge base with the articles. Potentially that'll integrate, and then Parature will perhaps provide that online. Again, we don't know if that's coming in 2015, but we can, it's not a large leap to suggest that that'll be coming, and that online knowledge base again will be provided so that people can go onto the website and perhaps they can answer their own questions. That knowledge base could be populated by previous case tickets and that kind of thing. USDs are, for those again unfamiliar with the Unified Service Desk, I think it's called, the USD. This is the old Customer Care Accelerator or Customer Care Framework. So this is the tool which allows you basically to have multiple tabs, just like a browser window, and then each tab is an application. So this has sort of reared its head again. So in the past, Microsoft has talked about CCA and CCF and said, yes, you can get access to it if you've got a CRM license. But it's been more of a framework. It's been more of a sort of a developer's tool rather than a finished product. And where it finds its strength is because you can have these tabbed applications. If you're an organization where you need to interact with multiple applications in order to provide service to a customer. So the classic example is something like a bank where the call center has to approve credit cards. And so what often happens is there'll be multiple systems involved in that. There'll be the system that has the person's current bank account. There'll be the system where credit gets approved. There'll be the system where we look at their credit history. So it might be linked to a third-party organization that looks at their defaulting, their defaults on loans and things like this, and so on and so forth. And anecdotally, I've heard of banks that have literally 15 systems to approve a loan or to approve a credit card. And so where this system, the USD system comes in, is it can have each of those in a tab. You can write code to basically pass information from one application to another. And the USD also provides scripting. So again, we can have scripting on the left, so providing a consistent experience and an aligned experience, like a brand aligned experience to the end customer. So I put CRM here because it's enabling the employee. Arguably, it's also CEM because it's providing an appropriate experience for the customer as well. And because we've got those multiple apps in one wrapper, and we're literally just tabbing between them, again, I've put that as a CRM experience. This is enabling the employee to provide a better service to the customer. It's an employee enabling system as opposed to a customer enabling system. So in conclusion, in terms of CRM and CEM, as I mentioned at the start, initially I used to think of these as the same thing, but really they are quite different. And it's not, and you'll see articles where they talk about one replacing another, that CRM's dead and CEM's going to take over. But I fundamentally disagree with that point of view. As I see it, CRM is about making sure the employee can provide the best service possible to the customer, and CEM is about making sure the customer has the best possible experience when they interact with the organization. So in order to deliver a superior service to your customers and make them loyal, really it's about both. It's CRM and CEM. It's making sure the employees can do the best job they possibly can, and making sure that when the customer comes to your website or approaches you or tries to get service, that very little gets in their way. They get the service that they're expecting, and it's appropriate to their requirements. In terms of Microsoft's recent acquisitions and the new stuff that's coming in the fall release, again, sometime towards the end of this year, maybe early next year, these address both sides of the coin. So there's a lot of CRM stuff, obviously, with Dynamics CRM and Dynamics Marketing, sort of halfway in between each. And there's stuff there that also addresses the customer experience. Right? So the Microsoft acquisitions are trying to address both sides in some ways. So it'll be interesting to see how they pan out in the market and how they're accepted. But it's not all about just CRM. It's certainly about managing the experience as well. And this is relatively new territory. for the Dynamics marketing suites, but it's certainly necessary territory in terms of delivering the best possible outcome for businesses and for the customers. So that's the conclusion. So we finished quite early today, so 35. So certainly time for questions. If you have any questions, I certainly encourage them. Put them in the Q&A box. We'll start addressing those. I can see there's a few already. And thank you for your time today.
All right. Well, thank you, Leon. And yeah, like you said, please do enter your questions into the Q&A block to the right, and we'll get to as many as we have time for. Here's one. Are you seeing business decision makers starting to ask for CEM solutions, or is the focus still on CRM?
Personally, the focus that I've seen is more on the CRM side. So obviously, a lot of businesses are still quite immature in this regard. So they know, they've heard about social, and they know they need to get on board with social, but they don't really see it as, they don't see it as part of an overall experience. They're more seeing it as, oh, yeah, we need to be able to interact with our customers in different ways. So the strategy behind it is probably still lacking. So I'd say the market's still quite immature in terms of CEM and service design. Certain industries, certain verticals, that's not the case. But certainly the companies overall that I interact with, they're still more focused on enabling their employees rather than fine-tuning the end experience.
All right, yeah, that's a great question, and if I could maybe add my 2 cents on that one with regard to some of the Microsoft products that you talked about today, Leon. I think, you know, for example, Parature, I don't think Dynamics CRM customers have seen all that much of it, but I don't know if you've seen this, but I think Dynamics CRM resellers and service providers are learning a lot more about it from Microsoft because so much of it is part of the business decision process to even be considering it, as opposed to thinking that you need a CRM solution. And a lot of that's going to be coming down to I think service providers having conversations with existing CRM customers to really explore those products. That's my take on it anyway.
Mm. Yeah, I think as these products start coming into the market, and yeah, as you say, more awareness is had with them, the kind of customer experience questions will start raising their head more. How can we provide an easy way for the clients to interact with us? Is it appropriate? How can we then bring that into our back-end systems? How can we bring our CRM systems to enable us to provide the right service? I think you're right. I think there is an awareness element which should be coming with the new version and with the new products.
All right, another good question here. Is CEM based on a software solution? So maybe take that one from a general perspective of how you approached it for this presentation.
Sure. In terms of, I guess, presentation here, talking about CRM as a stuff that enables the employee and CEM as stuff that enables the customer. Probably not one software solution, but I think there's elements of all these solutions, all the software that we talked about today, that address both sides of the coin. So obviously Dynamics CRM is quite strongly focused on enabling the employee, right? They're an employee-facing system. But then elements of Dynamics marketing sort of span both. The ability to provide a form so that people can effectively interact, the ability to interact with social channels. So there's elements of these software packages sort of that fall on one side or fall on the other. The USD with its scripting, it's a great example of, I think, of falling on both sides. It's enabling the employee to communicate appropriately, but it's also making sure that the experience that the customer gets is aligned to the brand. So Virgin, the script might be a bit more informal. A company like British Airways, it might be a bit more formal. All right? So I think there's not one solution which is necessarily pure CEM or pure CRM. Even Dynamics CRM, there's probably CEM elements in there, and certainly they're getting introduced as time goes on. So I think, yeah, is it based on a software solution? Not really, but there's elements of software solutions that try to address both.
All right, another interesting question that came in. Where do you see the role of company-owned online communities for engaging customers and prospects? In other words, on their own turf.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? The companies really want to own the conversations, and of course they can't. So I think there's a place for it. There's absolutely a place for, say, even Microsoft do this, right? So we've got the Microsoft forums. So if you've got a problem, if you've got a question about CRM, you can go to the Microsoft forums. You can put a question up there, and people like me who monitor the forums will answer your question very quickly. And Microsoft own that, and they sort of manage that. And so they certainly play a role, right? If I want to go to a forum and interact with the company, then that's one way I can do it. Is that the only way that people are going to be interacting and talking about a brand? Absolutely not. So I think they certainly play a role, and I think they play a role at promoting the brand of a company. So the online communities owned by a company are a great way for a company to advertise what they're about, what their values are. But yeah, I think companies try to see it as, well, as long as they come here, then we control it, and that's the only conversation that'll be had. I think that's quite naive. I think, again, this is part of the maturity process of social and online. They certainly have a role, and it's a great way for companies to interact with their customers. But yeah, it'd be naive to think that's the only way customers are going to be talking about a company, because we're a company-enabled channel.
All right. We have one last question in the queue, so I'll make a final call here for any other questions that you're still waiting to ask. Please ask them now. This is an interesting one, and I am going to paraphrase this, but how do you see this CRM versus CEM range of capabilities or challenges impacting different kinds of jobs and job openings, job descriptions going forward? Do you imagine people becoming more specialists in one or the other? Do you see any particular opportunities right now?
That's a great question. I can certainly talk about my experience. So up until recently, all I had to care about was making sure the employee could do the best possible job they could. Right? They could. I said at the start, the thing that gets me out of bed in the morning is helping other people make the world a better place. And that's all about CRM, right? Enabling employees to do the best possible job they can. What I've seen in the last 6 months is that I've got to think bigger than that. So in terms of opportunity in the market for jobs, there's certainly an opportunity in the customer experience. In my experience, it's still quite immature, and companies aren't thinking about it as much as they could, but it's absolutely essential. So in terms of the jobs that will be coming up, it's certainly about that sort of service design. So I certainly see there's going to be an expansion in the market of people that can talk about service design and customer experience design to enable the best possible experience. I think in terms of, is CRM going to be a focus for new job creation in terms of this, or will the customer experience? And customer experience is going to be an area where there'll be a lot of growth. And anyone that knows the sort of the technology and how the technology is going to address both, I think will be in a good position in terms of their career. But yeah, I think CEM is definitely the side of the fence where we're going to be seeing a lot of growth in jobs. Having those insights about how to make sure the customer experience is appropriate and making sure it's aligned to the values the business wants to put out.
All right. Yeah, great questions, everyone. Thanks for contributing here. That is the end of our question queue. We're going to start wrapping up. We did record today's session. We'll make a copy of that available very soon. And we can also provide a link to download Leon's slides as well, as he mentioned earlier. Please be on the lookout for a survey as you close out here. We really appreciate the feedback about how the session goes, both technically and the topics, and I know our presenters appreciate that too. So if you could take 30 seconds to do that, that would be great. Leon, thanks so much for presenting to us today.
No, it's my pleasure.
All right. Thanks, everyone in the audience too. We really appreciate you spending the time. That concludes the event. Have a great day.